Welcome, Ben. Thank you so much for coming. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what you guys do at Beam.
Yeah, I have an interesting background here, which leads me to this place, and that's that I was Chief Compliance Officer at Facebook's payment subsidiary from 2010 through 15. So I got to build out a compliance program there. My co-founder, Andreas Bayer, was head of risk engineering at Zoom and PayPal at that point. And we both had this similar experience, which is that we'd go out in the market and look to buy some software and just found that it was a bad fit. It is a bad fit for FinTechs, and banks are sort of grudgingly okay with what they've had, but they're looking for new solutions too. So we sort of took our learnings from those two experiences and put them together in Beam. The first products that we're rolling out are transaction monitoring software that includes a heavy AI component, and we're doing some work on sort of KYC, the Know Your Customer process too. Yeah, a lot of excitement right now around the company, and it's great to get a chance to chat with you about it.
And I think this year has just a flavour of regulation, right?
It certainly does.
As we've left last year with all that craziness that happened with ICOs, definitely feels like this is the theme for the year.
Yeah, it's an interesting trend because there is sort of a deregulation trend at the U.S. federal government level, which is completely exempting this particular piece of regulation. Nobody wants to roll back compliance obligations because the sorts of things that companies like Beam are looking for are terrorist financing, human trafficking, money laundering. And at both the federal and the state level, there's just really no appetite for moving away from a regulated environment. How we sort of navigate this ever-increasing regulatory landscape, I think, is where Beam starts to fit in, and also where I think we'll see a lot of collaboration in the startup community over the next year or so.
That's really exciting. You're really on the crest of that wave. That's fantastic. Where do you think things are going for RegTech?
I think that one of the trends that we'll see over the next year is a closer collaboration between the regulators and RegTech companies like Beam. We have, the great privilege of having Ben Lawsky, who's a well-known former head of the New York Department of Financial Services, as well as Troy Paredes, who is a former SEC commissioner, as advisors and board members at Beam. And we have a great sort of personal relationship that I've developed with regulators just over the course of my career. But what we haven't seen yet, and what I do think we'll start seeing more of in 2019, is a formal relationship developing between the companies that are producing innovative software solutions in this space and the regulators themselves. Because when you talk to them at their conferences or in person, they're aware that the regulatory burden, particularly on fintechs and smaller entities, is pretty serious. They know that there has to be a solution for this that isn't just throwing more bodies at the problem, more people. And I think that dialogue sort of started last year, and we're now moving into the part of the dialogue where we'll start seeing some formal collaboration.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for coming. I'm really looking forward to the panel.
Great, Pema. I'm looking forward to it too. Thanks for having me.